Ask any kid. Some of you I know still eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And if you haven't had one for a long time, go home and have one, and you will say to yourself, I forgot how good these are. But Jesus' bread is different, because we are promising that the bread of Jesus saves us from being lost, from losing our sense of meaning, from losing our belief that we have a place in this world, losing our ability to love and to be loved. Like that young man when he was first so bitter and so lost. I am the bread of life, he said, nourishment in the face of all trouble, all disappointments, all fears, all failures. In the Rockwell picture, I have to think it's not the food in that picture that has always caught my attention, but it's the love I see pictured there. The love that we really crave, every one of us, every human being on the face of the earth. People strive to have the perfect table. I can remember one of my aunts who would suffer over this perfect table idea so much that she was one of the most annoying people on Thanksgiving I'd ever met. And I used to think to myself, Mom, do we have to come here? And everything was in its place. And you know, when you're a kid, what do you do with 3 forks? I don't know what 3 forks are for. I could eat with a fork in each hand and understand that, but there was a certain way to do it. And believe me, my aunt had married into my mother's family. They were lucky to have a fork, let alone 3 of them. But she wanted it to be perfect, and every year, I found out later, every year she would cut a picture of a Thanksgiving table out of a magazine like Good Housekeeping or Better Homes and Gardens, and she would model her table after that. And everything had to be just in its place. And then you'd sit down and eat the food, and the food would go all over the place because the table was full of kids. And right just as we were about ready to eat dessert, she would bring out the vacuum. You know people like this. Some of you are probably like this, but you're not fessing up today. She would vacuum in the middle of the Thanksgiving dinner. We loved her anyway. Maybe the seating arrangement had to be arranged just so that everybody would be absolutely happy and it would be perfect. And it never was. The young man in the first story, after a few years, had really come to himself and had found the strength within him, the strength that I believe is given by God, which this man never knew he had, the strength within him to draw light shining through the cracks and the breaks in his life. That was one of the main ideas I brought to my ministry when I was at the school with the girls with all those troubles, abused children. I believed with all my heart there was a strength within each one of those children. If we could only get them to reach down deep enough to find it, they could be okay. They would get on with their life. They would heal from their abuse. This man's darkness was overcome by that light. And Jesus said, the line I love so much in the Message translation, the person who aligns with me hungers no more. Here is the strength he is promising to overcome, to believe that God is with us and that God makes all things new. There is a tremendous story that was contained in Ken Burns' television series on the Civil War, and I want to share with you. The narrator described a remarkable scene that took place on the 50th anniversary of the Battle of Gettysburg in 1913, when what was left of the 2 armies that fought on that battlefield decided to stage a reenactment of Pickett's charge. And all the old Union veterans went up on the ridge and took their places among the rocks. And all the old Confederate veterans started marching towards them across the field below. And then the extraordinary thing happened. As the old men among the rocks began to rush down at the old men coming across the field, a great cry went up. Only instead of doing battle as they had a half-century earlier, this time they threw their arms around each other, they embraced each other, and openly wept. that old battlefield, soaked in blood and pain and grief, was changed that day. Remembering became forgiving. Healing showed in the embracing and the tears. Love turned the scene into something beautiful and new. This scene, this group of men, were now aligned with Jesus. Not specifically about any doctrines or any other ideas or any particular way of looking at religion. They were aligned with Jesus in the sense that they were feeding on this bread of promise and hope. Maybe later they all gathered in a big hall and had a banquet. I wish Rockwell had painted that picture. This Thanksgiving season, I hope you will meditate on the fact that you have all of this greatness in you. When you are at your best, when you are aligned with Jesus, you are a light bringer to the broken. You are the one who can feed someone hungry for hope. You are the one who can forgive and feel in yourself the power of forgiveness. You are the one who can make the love of God real to another human being. In fact, there is no other way. God is depending on you and me. Amen. Will you please rise now and receive the benediction? Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is lovely, whatever is gracious, if there is any excellence, anything worthy of praise, think about these things. And what you have learned and received and heard, now do. And the God of peace be with us always. Amen. Like that, you know.